If you're one of those Tesla investors who thinks Elon Musk has abandoned Tesla, is now fully working on his political party, think again. Well, in fact, big things are happening that show Tesla is killing it. First, software code for our Tesla vehicles is showing that Grok AI will soon be making an appearance. This makes sense given Elon's announcement that Grok 4 will be launched Wednesday. Second, we'll watch a video of Tom Lee of Fundstrat staying bullish on Tesla, explaining how he sees Tesla able to dominate many industries, not just the ones we know about. Third, Elon Musk responded to a plea for him to focus his time on building a massive solar power gigafactory and to build AI capacity for the US. He said he's indeed thinking about it. Fourth, he also reconfirmed that he believes the US needs to figure out how to build drones at scale fast, or in his words, we're doomed to be a vassal state. Joe Bakhti has a YouTube channel covering both Tesla and AGI. Check out his website and community at pioneerlands.net. Welcome, Joe.
Good to be here, Herbert.
So the point is that we did a show yesterday where political turmoil, the turmoil in Tesla stock because of Elon introducing a third political party. But if you look at the big ideas, the things he's still working on, they are moving, and they're moving fast, and they're still happening. The big one that's important for Tesla investors, though, is Grok appearing on Tesla vehicles soon. There is app updates. These guys track to see what is in the software updates that's going to be uploaded to our cars. There's a version 4.446.6. It has been released. And this one, these guys are saying they found code. XAI has been spotted in the app. We also see one other string, which is passing XAI URI, or is it URL, to your operating system. This is likely for the Grok authentication, which you'll scan a QR code to complete the login. I don't know about you, but I can't wait for Grok as an in-car experience. And then Tesla also announced, XAI announced that they have Grok 4, which they say is going to be the fastest. They're very proud of this. It's going to be the best AI out there. They're going to announce that on Wednesday evening. And then Nick Cruz-Patain, he published this. He said, my guess is Tesla will announce Tesla Grok integration during the Grok 4 live stream this Wednesday. Elon actually liked that. So it sounds like that is what's going to happen. Tesla will announce that Grok is going to be integrated into our cars. You've seen in the code. This is a really big deal. What do you think, Joe?
Well, it's kind of funny. Of course, I'm very sympathetic with all Tesla car owners, right? That this is the big news. Oh, Grok is coming to the car. But we have to take a step back. We are basically dealing with an insane era of history, where suddenly we are building these systems that are smarter than humans and replace us all. And the big news here is Grok 4, how good it actually is. And it's like saying, oh, there is a new super intelligence coming to Earth and eating us all up. And the good news is it's in your Tesla maybe tomorrow. It's like, well, that's great news. But the bigger news here is what is actually happening on the performance side of these models, and specifically with Grok 4. This is leaked stuff here. This is the benchmark comparison. And this is very, very important. Pay attention to the left side of that chart here. Mm-hmm. And here you basically see that this is humanity's last exam. It's also a great name. Yeah, it's humanity's last exam. And that's the most comprehensive benchmark where basically these AIs are tested across the board on all kinds of things like reasoning and math and chemistry and verbal intelligence. On the left side, you see Grok 4. This is Grok 4 raw, and this is test time compute, so with more thinking. And here you have ChatGPT o3, the most, well, I don't know if the most advanced, but one of the most advanced OpenAI models. Here is Gemini, and the pink one is Claude 4. This is the current state of the art. 20.3, 21.6, and now Grok comes along and more than doubles that. And this is not a random benchmark. That's the ultimate benchmark for universal intelligence. So it's still not 100. Well, then it's lights out at 100. Mm-hmm. But this is an extreme leap forward. And I'm not saying that the other guys are not going to leapfrog Grok again, but you see the insane speed. If you see that benchmark, what that actually does. No, I don't think there's any human who can reach 45%, maybe not even 20% on that exam. So what we are witnessing in real time here is like we are writing true history. I mean, we might regret that history, but that's not for us to judge right now. But it's extremely significant what's happening. And that is for me the exciting thing. And so it's for me secondary that it also shows up in the cars, which is great, but it's more crazy what that actually is, what shows up there. So I'm very excited. I'm getting a little scared too. You know, my theory with the singularity and that this is all insane what's happening. I don't think we can stop it, but we have to be very smart what happens next. And it's interesting to see that Grok seems to become a true competitor for the frontier models. I still think right now O3 and O4 are vastly better than Grok, to be totally frank, than Grok 3. I'm using much more, and I try to be objective about these things. I just measure the intelligence in everyday application. And so I can't wait for Grok 4. I think Elon's strategy to be really strong in AI makes a lot of sense to me. But as I said before, you know, Sam Altman and Mark Zuckerberg are not Mary Barra. So we better watch out. I mean, these guys are extremely serious competitors, but so is Elon. So let's see.
Okay. Well, tonight, that's when XAI will announce Grok 4. And if you watch all of the team members, they're pumping this up. They're coming out going, they're very proud of it. They do believe that Grok 4 will leapfrog, and everybody will be surprised, better than the current state of the art. And then the question is, you know, they keep leapfrogging each other, but you know, Tesla has, and XAI has the largest supercomputers in the world. They've got the most H100s strung together. So it's possible that no one can ever catch up to them. But regardless, even if they do continue to leapfrog each other, I just think that as a Tesla investor, I'm happy, I'm lucky that Elon was able to, like you just pointed out there, it seems out of nowhere, very quickly decided that he's going to create this, creates XAI, creates Grok, releases it, and automatically within months, it's now at par and then even possibly become better.
When, according to Dan Ives, Elon should clock in with him before he starts working on Grok 5.
Yeah, he's got to have a schedule.
By the way, Dan, I'm a big fan of Dan. I think he's amazing.
Sure.
I'm just be a little critical on that piece of his concept.
That he was. Okay, so, you know, appreciate your knowledge about the LMs and sharing that. We'll see. But again, like I said, I'm just very, very fortunate as a Tesla investor that XAI is one of the competitors there. The other one is Tom Lee of Fundstrat. He's out very, very positive on Tesla. Of course, Tesla is one of these top holdings in his ETF, the granny shot. But the way he positioned it is he's talking about Tesla not only being able to be good at these industries that they're in now, but they're able to make any industry, could change many industries, not just autos. Let's listen to what he said.
I think Tesla is one of the most important stocks in the market because not only because of what Tesla does. Remember, Tesla is making electric cars and they have a huge advantage. They completely changed the automotive industry. Not just because they made batteries better, it's also because they have expertise in manufacturing. Now, manufacturing for cars is one of the hardest things to do because of the supply chain. So if they can dominate manufacturing of autos, Tesla will dominate whatever industry requires manufacturing in the future. Okay, that's the way you should think of it, that they have intellectual property that allows them to produce anything that the world makes at a lower cost. Like, for instance, if they decide to make smartphones, I would assume they could actually be one of the most efficient producers of that. They have a huge lead in AI now because of Twitter and their XAI. And with full self-driving, it is strengthening the capabilities of their artificial intelligence. They might even integrate Grok into that. And now they have Optimus Prime and robots. And they are, by a country mile, leading in the US in terms of robots. There was companies like Boston Dynamics that was working on these things a lot earlier, and Tesla has already surpassed them. So if you ask me, Tesla represents a company that knows how to take technology and then turn it into real world products. But they're now at the intersection of everything that's important because Tesla is linked to Starlink and to space and to Neuralink and to the Boring Company, all the things that Elon Musk is doing. And I think that's the second part of the story, that we know if you look at the last 100 years, the stocks that changed the world were really led by a founder that did see the world differently. I think Tesla, as long as Elon Musk is involved, is one of the most important companies.
Thoughts on that? That was good.
Well, I think Tom is spot on. And the funny thing is, people sometimes, call me crazy with my 11,000, price target for 2030. That price target is based on Optimus and on Robotaxi. On Robotaxi more for cash flow until then, and Optimus more for discount cash flow from there on. But to Tom's point, I think there's also something brewing that is actually bigger than Optimus and bigger than Robotaxi. And that is, to turn Tesla into a universal mass manufacturing company. And why I believe that, I didn't formulate any model on that because it's very hard to predict, but my central thesis for what's going to happen in the next 24 months is AGI. And people don't fully understand what that means. It means an infinite number of things. But when it comes to Tesla, clearly Tesla is the manufacturing company in the world who will absolutely, by an enormous distance, lead that transformation. And that transformation means that if Elon says we need energy, we need solar panels in the United States, we need to build them at scale, fully robotically, at super low costs. That took Elon back in the days 5 years. It's going to take him 5 months or 5 weeks to do that now or soon, right? Because of AI. When he says we need drones to compete with China or something, when he says we need chips, we need to amp up the US shipbuilding capacity by 200x to be just on par with China. Completely impossible back in the days. It now becomes possible within a few years, the ships. The drones become possible in 6 months if you do it right. So we are undergoing this insane transformation that breaks all kind of models because AI makes it possible. And guess who's sitting on top of industrial manufacturing AI? That thing doesn't even exist yet, but Elon is already thinking this through. I tell you, that's also the purpose of Grok. And I think, I don't even have to tell you what that means in terms of money, right? So you can now unlock giant industries with lightning speed, probably next year or something. And Elon is already talking about energy on a mass scale and drones on a mass scale. And it's not gonna be like another Tesla or SpaceX. This is gonna be on hyper steroids. It's gonna be a side project on hyper steroids. And that's really happening. And it's not even gonna be so hard. I think in 10 years, everyone can do that. But Elon is the first one who truly understands and can execute it now.
Has the scale now to get going.
And crazy.
Yeah, this is a brilliant idea. I really think that that's something that few have actually mapped out, right? Which is with AI today, I think many of us kind of experience this now. We can launch a business tomorrow, literally tomorrow. AI can create the business plan, they can create the website, they can source the products, they can help us find the factories. But then if you combine AI with autonomy and the ability to create autonomous factories, which Tesla already is a leader in now, right? They know how to create autonomous factories. Now you add robots and AI in the factory, they can build anything, literally anything. They can just kind of, like you said, all the drones. Okay, we're going to create drones now, and here's a whole new company creating drones, and they can.
Just think about it. Yeah. I call this giant transformation. That's also why we are building Pioneer Lands, because I think the big paradigm shift is away from startups and building businesses and towards building civilizations and civilizational components. Why is that, and what does it mean? It means before you had these disjointed value chains. If you do a business, you are some random disjointed piece of a giant value chain, right? You didn't even know why this creates value, but this guy pays me for that piece of software this much, and there's a TAM of 200 million. Okay, let's build it. We don't know why. And there's always like an endpoint to these value chains, and these endpoints are very limited. It's like, are you wealthy? Are you healthy? And do you have friends and have a house, right? That's always the endpoints of everything. But you don't know where this fits into these value chains. But with AI, because it becomes so easy now to capture entire value chains, and Elon was the first one to understand that, He didn't build rocket engines or rocket fuel or a hull. He said, why don't we just build the rocket? And then people say, because that's impossible. It's like, well, maybe not. And why don't he didn't build batteries, and then he built little whatever, like blinkers or something. He said, no, let's build a car. It's like, no, it's impossible. Well, it is possible. And I think this is now true on steroids, because you couldn't just build a drone company in the past at scale, but now you can, especially if you're Tesla. So I think, this new reality is true, but you also need to execute and be the pioneer to do it. And of course, Elon has everything you need. He has unlimited money, he has unlimited reach, he has unlimited knowledge compared to other people, and AI. So he has everything that it takes. And I'm so bullish, same with Robotaxi and Optimus, because he's sitting on an insane exponential curve that he didn't even create. He's a surfer, as the VCs say. He surfs a giant historic wave. And the other guys didn't get the wave yet, so they are not surfers.
This is what we're going to talk about the rest of the show here. It's unbelievable that, we're all being distracted right now. The stock's going up, stock's going down. We're all concerned about, is he going to create a political party or not? But what he's talking about now, he's also talking about solar power gigafactories. He's talking about drones. He's building AI. These are the things that are setting him up for bigger ideas. You've been talking about this as well. So that's great. That's Tom Lee who gets it, right? This is not just one product. This is an industry. Tesla can create any kind of products for any kind of industry. So Randy Kirk posted this, and Elon responded to him, said, Elon, please build massive solar power gigafactory, build more megapack factories, get to your proposed 1 terawatt hours of Elon power as fast as possible. If you do this, you'll contribute massively to the AI capacity of the US, help us win against China, and drive GDP growth above 3% per year. This will do far more than your political effort to solve both the debt crisis and the renewable energy future. Please tell me where I'm wrong.
Well, Randy is right that Elon should do that, and he's wrong that it's going to do more than his political effort. But
okay, interesting. Good. I'll hear you. Elon Musk said, thinking about it. I think what he's thinking about, I guess, you can read into that. I mean, he already said he is currently thinking about how to create 1 terawatt hours of compute, which compute means not just the power needed for the data centers to create the AI capacity. He's got that. He's already talked about many times, several times. He said that sometimes, robots and AI could become the counter to reducing spending. If you have too much spending, but you need to increase growth, maybe that's the way to, increase productivity. Robots and AI has that potential. And then he has talked about recently now massive solar power gigafactories, and then more megapack factories. So yeah, he's thinking about it. So I think that is where his mind is. He is definitely going to be doing something. These are biggest ideas you can think of in the world. Sorry, go ahead and explain what you were thinking, what you were saying.
Well, as I said, I think Randy is correct that these are two very important things, but he's wrong that this will do more than politics to solve the debt crisis. And I think what Elon figured out is that we don't just have a debt crisis, we have a general crisis of political competence. Mm-hmm. And I think the debt will be a marginal little incremental problem compared to what's going to happen the next 24 months. If you have mass unemployment and all these theories like, oh, it's going to create more jobs, like, no, it's not. And even if it does, it's going to take 10 years. So what do you do in the meantime if 50% of the population is unemployed? Well, guess what? You get hardcore socialism, and the Democrats are already preparing it with their new guys there in New York and everything. Mm-hmm. This is extremely problematic. And, in 2028, if you have mass unemployment by then, which I'm pretty convinced we will have, yes. Okay, just simulate what happens, right? Then there will be calls for massive taxation of companies, of robots, of AI, of rich people, and that will go straight into socialist calls, and they will get enormous traction. If everyone's unemployed, doesn't get paid, the others, 10% of the population gets insanely rich because they own Tesla shares. So, okay, what then? What do the other 90% do? And then the Republicans, do you think they're prepared to say anything? They're just like, oh, socialism, don't vote for socialism. And you're sitting there with nothing. It's like, of course I'm going to vote for socialism. So it's not just about debt. It's going to be a massive, chaotic situation. That's why you need more than just a little leverage over Republicans or Democrats. You need a new party, in my opinion, to at least have a player on the field and then you can decide what to do. So just for context for this whole thing. And I think Elon, part of being a reality engineer, that's how I call that, like thinking in a big way about energy and drones and the accelerated manufacturing capability, you are basically, infringing very quickly on things that are outside manufacturing. Like if you have a revolution, people get killed on the street, all your solar doesn't help you, right? So you need to think bigger and think the whole thing needs to work. I need to do systems engineering, or at least have the option to participate in engineering components that are outside manufacturing or AI. And I think that's how he thinks. You don't even have to predict everything fully accurately. You just have to sense where this is going, and you want to have your players on the field. And I think the American Party is one important player.
Very well articulated. You made me think now. So clearly, there's one is tech, right? You're okay. I'm going to create the greatest tech in the world. That's going to be great, but is it good for humanity? And then now you need to think about the impact to society. Like I was just having a conversation with somebody this weekend. I'm sure you've already had this conversation. Robo-trucking is actually a concern. So let's say robo-trucking is fantastic for the economy, great for productivity, amazing how it's going to make everything more efficient, lower cost. All products will become lower cost because trucking is such an impact. And then of course the impacted environment. But who is the people that's going to be fired? And it's going to be mostly men, almost all men. And what happens when you have a lot of unemployed men? You have to start thinking about what happens. There's riots.
I think in the United States, it's 4 million jobs or something. It's like an insane number of jobs.
So if you are the inventor of these things, you should, as you said, system thinking, what happens to those and how do you consider it? So now having a societal impact, having some sort of a political kind of considerations for policies, that's now part of your role. And I think Elon is probably, like you said, sensing it, putting his players on the field.
And often you don't even need to. That's what I love about Elon, what we all can still learn from Elon, even though we already understand it. But watching him execute is always a reminder. There's, seeing the future. Mm-hmm. Then there's devising the right strategy on first principles. Then comes the big part. You need to execute. You need to have infrastructure in place. And these things are not consecutively sequential. You need to build the infrastructure before you even know the plan. And so you need to make sure Elon probably knows exactly that he doesn't know exactly what's going to happen in 2028, but he knows some crazy thing is going to happen with a 80% chance that there will be massive turmoil. So we need the player on the field. I don't even know what to tell the player and what the player is going to do, but if I don't have a player on the field, I have a problem. And so I think that's how this is going to go. And
he's talking about universal high income, which is like socialism. But it's like there's going to be some sort of version of whatever to create a new society. And that's what you've been doing at pioneerlands.net, right? This is the kind of things you're already thinking ahead.
It requires a lot of thinking and a lot of doing and a lot of iteration. I mean, it's like America when it was founded. It wasn't like 4 dudes sitting at a tea table randomly and then thought, oops, we could found a country, just draft up the Declaration of Independence. No, it was like a massive decade-long preparation without knowing that there's a preparation. Philosophical inquiry, John Locke, the Federalist Papers, like all these discussions. This is not easy. This is complicated engineering. And so you need to start doing things. That's what we are doing in Pioneerlands and actually being pragmatists about it and also building stuff. So we need to reinvent probably all of society, the social contract, who creates value, who are we, where are the new borders, like where are the tribes, where are the countries, all this stuff is going away. And if you don't do anything, it will be very problematic because I tell you, humans can, turn very problematic. If you make 90% poor and, dismantle all institutions and all rules, it's not the greatest situation.
Well, okay. I interviewed Tony Seba and had a fantastic conversation about this. And it's lumpy. There's going to be a lot of people out of work, but the future is that he's predicting that in the future, there should be less war because we're no longer this society that is what he calls extractive society, where you need input, oil, materials to be able to create an output. And so everybody's goal, companies, countries, is to continue to grow. And then when you run out of your input, what do? You conquer the next guy beside you, and then it becomes this thing where he's got more than I do, and so you'll fight, more fighting, more not. But when it comes to this low cost energy, because it's coming from the sun, where it doesn't cost anything anymore, so it's pretty well free energy. You got free labor because it's robots doing all the work. All of this combined together, free transportation. Then you get into a world where you don't have an input issue anymore, and then therefore he thinks it's utopia. This is potential for a
I
world
read the
where-
book. It's all very interesting, but I think people, including Tony, tend to be way too naive about politics. They're all technologists, and he's amazing in predicting all these things. They just ignore one little thing that is called humans and politics. And when you look at history, humans and politics played like a role in what happens. And
well, he addressed it. He thinks that a lot of roles have happened because of this system. This is the real thing, right? So prior to this extractive system, you had farmers, and each individual person would just create their own food for themselves. There's no need for lawyers. There's no need for land and ownership and real estate and all these things that formed, because you got a village now, and the village now needs all these things. In the same way,
I think he bases his assumption on one giant flaw of human nature. And that flaw is only because we have extractive technologies were we forced to take our stuff from each other. It's like, Tony, I have bad news. It might be not scarcity that caused this. And go back
human nature, regardless of what, we'll fight.
Go back to 1871 or something around that. I'm talking from a German perspective, but in America it was very similar. It was like a Gilded Age. In Central Europe and Germany became like this super powerhouse, and they thought this is it, right? We have abundance. We have all these super technologies. We have massive explosion of abundance all over the place. That's it. Guess what happens next? World War I, completely unnecessary, by the way. At the height of power and the height of abundance, they just got bored. It's like, you know what? We have so much abundance. We have pretty good weapons now. Why don't we just attack a bunch of people and take it over? Not because they needed to. So this is like, World War I is the best example of wars not being part of a scarce resource. At the height of all the power of Great Britain, France, and Germany, especially Germany, the most powerful of them all, the richest at that point, and the most science, and everything. Like, whoa, this is pretty cool. We could just take over.
We could just do it, I don't need it.
And then in 1925, they thought 1925, 100 years ago, was like, well, now we learned our lesson, right? So now we can create the League of Nations. It's all going to be awesome. And then they had another little hiccup. I'm not going to talk more about the hiccup, but it was, of course, if you then zoom to 1980, it's like, well, this all went pretty nicely. They were right, 1925. Yeah, but there was a hiccup. And if you live through that hiccup, not great. So, we have to be cautious.
Good point. Good points.
If we have a hiccup with ASI, you wish it was World War II. So I think that's the problem. Even if it ends up in 200 years, like, look, now we got where Tony project that. Yeah, the 10 of us that are left. So great. So we have to be a little, these things matter. What actually matters? What actually happens in the next years? And can we prevent these hiccups, because they can be very nasty?
Love it. So back to Elon thinking about something bigger than we all realize. He is talking about drones again. He's back out there going, we better figure out how to build drones at scale fast, or we're doomed to be a vassal state, as you posted. He's been repeating this quite often. I have a feeling that Tesla is already building drones. I'm pretty certain Elon will create a company or part of Tesla to build drones. It is just too important. What's your thought about this comment?
Well, I have this wild fantasy, but it's not based on any evidence, but I have the wild fantasy. The reason the Roadster is delayed is because it's going to fly.
Right.
But
yes. So if he can make that thing fly, why couldn't you make smaller things fly, or whatever size things?
Manufacturing drones is like a no-brainer. That's like obviously very possible for them. But on the Roadster, I really think, like, why is it delayed like crazy? We haven't seen anything, and this thing could fly, because obviously Elon was always against flying cars. I
Yeah.
always was against Elon when it comes to this. Like, it's a no-brainer. Of course, flying cars are superior at some point in time because they don't need roads. They save a lot of infrastructure. They're much faster. Everything is great. So, and it might be the time now. So besides that, to Tony Seber's, abundance play, this is also what Elon's saying here. This is clashing with Tony's theory. So what does Elon mean with vassal state? That doesn't sound like we are all like happy and non-extractive. Like, what does it mean to be a vassal state? It means there are 10 billion Chinese killer drones that keep you in check. That's not very nice. So
it's nothing you can do.
I mean,
You can't stop it.
It's not going to happen, Tony. Like, of course. I mean, yeah,
it's going to happen.
So,
I
it's not
agree
going
with
to be that easy. And I'm betting on Elon being right here, not Tony, in the midterm, maybe even in the long term.
I mean, I think Elon wants a utopia as well, but that's why. But like you say, I of all the humans on Earth, he's the one I still will put my money on and hope that he has got things figured out, and that the world will be better off with him trying to figure out what to do versus anyone else I can think of. So.
Yes. I mean, we should be very cautious and very critical and very observing of Elon. He's just human and he has flaws and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
But we also have to be appreciative for the amount of power he has and money. I think he's behaving way better than I would have thought.
And other people that are that rich.
You want to switch Elon with Putin or Xi Jinping or something? Probably not.
Right. Or Zuckerberg or Sam Altman or Bill Gates or
Exactly.
Jeff Bezos. I don't know. Not hard to know. Oh my gosh, that was fun, Joe. Thank you so much. Always great to talk to you. And I have a feeling that every week something big is going to happen, and we're going to be talking about.
Going to get boring.
The future is going to be brought closer to us than we want, and we need to be talking about things like this now. It's no longer like far future. This is all happening so quickly.
Yeah, and I think this is like why it's so great to have this show and also what we're doing in Pioneer Lands, my channel. Right. I think it's, we are just in the first innings of something completely insane, and that will be good and bad. And it's very important to know what's happening. And it's going to be week by week now with a massive acceleration into some event horizon, 2027, 2028. And of course, everyone always says that. Everyone tries to get attention for the last 2,000 years. I just think this time is actually different.
This is it. No, for sure. Thanks, Joe. Check him out at pioneerlands.net. I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.